Right son, Star Wars fans, it's Wild Josh, and this episode was recommended by Space Cadet 11 in the comments section of our Yaddle video. You may only know him as the bounty hunter with the jacked up face and strange headdress in Empire Strikes Back, but there is a ton more to him than that. Now sit back and relax, you're about to learn who's who when it comes to Dengar.
What'd you body monsters get up to this weekend? I caught one of my bandages in a freaking escalator at the mall and it took maintenance an hour and a half to undam that particular disaster.
Let's start with that Canon backstory. Dengar, also known as Dengar the Demolisher, was a human male from the planet Corellia. Before Dengar became a bounty hunter, he served as a gladiator. Dengar's bounty hunting career was considered to be at its prime during the galaxy-wide Clone Wars conflict, during which he attained a remarkable track record. He was part of an operation alongside fellow bounty hunters Boba Fett, Bosk, Latz Razi, C-21 Highsinger, and Okid. The hunters were hired to escort a sub-tram containing cargo valuable to Atuda Blank, the leader of the Belugan people of Korzite. While preparing for the mission in Chalam's Cantina, Okid was murdered by the wayward darkside user Asaz Ventress, who promptly agreed to take the dead hunter's place on the mission roster. The company set off in Bosk's ship, the Hound's Tooth, to Korzite, and boarded a subterranean train. Dengar, along with Ventress, were assigned to guard the rear of the train. After unsuccessfully flirting with Ventress, a team of skilled cage warriors boarded the train to rob it. Dengar managed to fight off many of the attackers due to his skill in hand-to-hand combat, and even managed to kill two using sticky explosives. Dengar was eventually overwhelmed by the attackers and was thrown from the train, landing safely on the subterranean surface. Dengar and his allies, who were likewise thrown from the train, returned to the Skyhook to await Ventress, who had betrayed the mission objective by swapping the cargo with Boba Fett, who was bound and gagged. Before departing, she handed over the rest of the team's share of unmarked credits. Dengar was later employed by the Hutts alongside with Latz, Razi, Embo, and Sugi as protection on Nal Hutta. They were present when the renegade Sith Lords Maul and Savage Opress, the Death Watch leader Pre Vizsla, came to ally with the Hutts. When the plan went sour, the four bounty hunters attacked, though they were pushed back by the Mandalorian's flamethrower. The trio soon received reinforcements and attacked the bounty hunters. When the battle was clearly lost, Dengar and Latz saved the beaten Embo and Sugi by covering their escape with smoke bombs. The group of mercenaries fled the Death Watch and their Sith allies. Around the time of the end of the Clone Wars, Dengar disappeared for a brief period of time and was believed to have been recovering from a near-fatal injury. Sometime later, Dengar was still active around the time of the assault on Simoon 1. He was present in Jabba's court when Darth Vader, on a mission to negotiate with the Hutt, arrived in the Crime Lord's palace. Jabba was briefly force-choked by Vader, and after this, Jabba ordered Dengar out of the room so that negotiations could commence. Dengar went to a bar on Nar Shaddaa, where he learned from a Gungan that Chewbacca was there. Dengar then shocked Chewbacca as he and C-3PO were about to storm Gracchus the Hutt's palace. He demanded that C-3PO contact Han Solo. When C-3PO tried to help Chewbacca, Dengar shocked him too. Dengar then tangled with Chewbacca and managed to subdue him, which is no small feat. When he demanded Solo's location, he was then stunned by Solo. Despite being outgunned by Solo's ship, Dengar threatened to destroy them all with his thermal detonator. However, he was then tossed away by Chewbacca. Having survived his encounter with Chewbacca, Dengar was later secretly hired by Darth Vader, along with Kursitan, Zuckuss, B-Box, IG-90, and C-21 Highsinger, to find and return Dr. Aphra. He also acted as an informant for Vader, when he joined a team of bounty hunters under Beilert Valance, who were hired by the Hidden Hand to assassinate Vader. Dengar later turned on Valance and told Vader everything he knew about the Hidden Hand. For the betrayal, Valance gave Dengar a punch, but he left him alive. Later, Dengar tried to collect a bounty on Jackson T. Tumparaki, but was outsmarted and only was able to nab Jackson's girlfriend, Amaza Foxtrain, instead. This pretty much brings us up to where we meet Dengar in Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. Dengar was one of the bounty hunters alongside Boba Fett, Bossk, IG-88, Forlom, and Zuckuss, summoned to the Executor, the Imperial flagship of Darth Vader, who resorted to using bounty hunters to track down the Millennium Falcon, the ship of Captain Han Solo, who slipped away from Vader during the evacuation of Hoth. Dengar lost out on the Han Solo bounty to Boba Fett, who delivered the now carbonite-encased Han Solo to the crime lord Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine. In between, Dengar then connected back up with Beilert Valance as they attempted to track down carbonite Han Solo and Boba Fett. Dengar viewed this as restitution for betraying Valance years earlier. The adventure included them being captured by the Onaka gang, getting chased by Zuckuss and Forlom, running into Chewbacca again, getting mixed up with the Crimson Dawn, and nearly getting assassinated. And there was a whole lot more. Dengar even gets a girlfriend named Manaru, who was a prisoner of Jabba's and who Bib Fortuna threatens to feed to the Rancor. I guess there is someone for everyone. Dengar was even at Jabba's palace when Jedi Luke Skywalker and his crew attempted their rescue of Han Solo, but he decided against going on Jabba's sail barge to the Pit of Carkoon, which was a very wise decision. Sometime after the Battle of Endor, Dengar ran into the bounty hunter Mercurial Swift in Coronet City on the planet of Corellia. Dengar attempted to recruit Swift, but there was a disagreement and a fight broke out. The two left each other alive and went their separate ways. In the days leading up to the Battle of Jakku, Dengar joined Mercurial Swift's crew along with Embo and Jita in an attempt to collect the bounty on Jas Amari, the niece of bounty hunter Sugi. After much work, they were able to capture Jas Amari, but this created tension between Swift and his crew. Jas had a counteroffer, that if she was left to live, she'd help them catch the much larger bounty on Imperial Grand Admiral Ray Sloane. They would receive not only a share of the bounty, but full pardons from the New Republic. Everyone agreed except for Swift, so he was overpowered and kicked out of his own crew. Their mission was a success, and the Battle of Jakku ultimately ended the Galactic Civil War and started the New Republic. Jita, Embo, and Dengar all received a portion of credits and full pardons. And that's the last we know of Dengar. From there, he sails off into the future, where he could potentially find himself in more stories from a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Factoid: at some point after the Galactic Civil War, Dengar underwent cybernetic surgery in an attempt to remain competitive. The surgery left him barely recognizable. Some rumors claimed Dengar in fact became the hunter Hrothgar Deng. Now, on to the Legends story. In Legends, Dengar also has the nickname Payback. His first love wasn't bounty hunting, but it was swoop bike racing, where he found good success in the Corellian swoop racing circuit, with many endorsements and lots of money. From there, much ties up with Canon. He becomes a bounty hunter and finds success there as well, but he still races swoop bikes on the side. Sometime before the Battle of Yavin, Dengar raced in a dangerous, illegal race against fellow rider Han Solo in a winner-takes-all contest. On the last stretch of the race, Han Solo brought his swoop bike down on top of Dengar, burning his face with the exhausts and causing Dengar to crash headfirst into a crystalline plant, which impaled him through the brain. Doctors were able to save Dengar, but the news of a top rider racing in an illegal race ended his swoop career and cost him all of his endorsements. His anger over what happened, along with the brain damage, caused Dengar to become an emotionless killer. From there, he dove deep into bounty hunting and also worked as a gladiator in the arenas. He also worked as an assassin for the Empire. When Dengar learned of the bounty on Han Solo's head, he fully committed to being the one to bring him in. In time, Dengar meets Manaru and saves her life. Being an Arusan, she used a common Arusan cybernetic implant called an Atani on Dengar, allowing the two to share a connection emotionally and a sort of lifelong bond. This allowed Dengar to feel emotions again through his attachment with Monaru. Dengar eventually comes face to face with Han Solo again, but this time Solo is encased in carbonite and decorating Jabba's palace. Dengar laughed in the frozen face of Solo, but at the same time this was taking place, Jabba was capturing Monaru. In an odd turn of events, Boba Fett saved both Dengar and Monaru from the events of the sail barge disaster. Monaru and Dengar were married, and the pair rescued Boba Fett from the Sarlacc. Monaru and Dengar nursed Boba Fett back to health, and the two bounty hunters became fast friends. From there, Dengar goes into sort of retirement, although he pops up from time to time taking small jobs. Star Wars Factoid: the character's depiction in Payback, The Tale of Dengar by Dave Wolverton was inspired by the author's time as a prison security guard during college, capturing the air of inner deadness that incarcerated killers possessed. Now, for some of the behind the scenes. Dengar was played by British actor Maurice Bush in Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. He also briefly appears in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, although it was unknown if it was Bush in the role until Jeremy Bulloch, who played Boba Fett, confirmed it in a panel at Celebration Europe 2. In the TV series Star Wars The Clone Wars, Dengar was voiced by British actor Simon Pegg, who went on to reprise the role in the video game Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Factoid: in the fourth draft of Empire Strikes Back's screenplay, Dengar was described along with Zuckuss as battle-scarred and many-human type. Pre-production still photographs from Star Wars Empire Strikes Back pictured Dengar holding a modified World War II-era German MG-34 machine gun. In the film, though, that weapon was held by bounty hunter droid Forlom, and Dengar was armed with a modified German MG-42. And there you go. You now know who's who when it comes to Dengar. Would you like to know who's who about another character in the Star Wars universe? If so, it's simple. Be like Space Cadet 11 and let us know in the comments section below. And we may just end up making a video on it. Also, if you don't want Darth Vader sending bounty hunters after you, then we suggest that you hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
Haven't seen the cutie at the Dippin' Dots kiosk pointing laughs with such cruel, forceful vigor since last month when the exact same thing happened.